What's up, folks? Dave Swift here, no relation to Taylor. Today, I'm going to show you how to use AI to automatically fill out PDF forms. This can save you a ton of time, especially if you have to fill out a bunch of tax forms and they're monotonous and you have to do dozens or even hundreds of them. This could really give you a whole afternoon back or several days. Now, I'm going to be honest here. This is one of those Mr. Miyagi lessons where, sure, we're learning to fill out forms with AI and that's cool, but honestly, it's bigger than that. You're learning the skills you need to keep up in the AI world. I firmly believe that AI has already arrived. It's able to do 99% of our knowledge work right now. It's us, the humans, that are holding ourselves back with just a lack of information and a lack of know-how to actually get this stuff done for us. So let's begin with a very simple task of using Claude Code to automate the fulfillment of PDFs. Now, I can't wait to show you how to do all of this, but first, a word from our sponsor, FreshBooks. Don't you just love accounting? You know, those fun moments where you're staring at a spreadsheet wondering what numbers go where and do I need a master's degree just to send an invoice? FreshBooks will take all of that complexity and make it actually simple. I'm talking about accounting software that doesn't require an accounting degree to actually use. So what makes FreshBooks different? Well, if you're doing invoicing or payments, you'll be able to build professional invoices in seconds and get paid twice as fast. No more chasing down clients wondering when that payment is going to hit your account. If you're doing books, you'll be able to run your billing and accounting and even payroll all from one platform. Plus, you'll save hours on data entry with their automation features. For business insights, if you want to know how your business is doing, you'll be able to generate reports that instantly show how your business actually performed. No more guesswork, just clear numbers. And it's going to be tax season. It's actually tax season right now. So you can stay organized year round and compliant with tax regulations. So when April hits, it's not a terrifying nightmare. If you're doing client work, by the way, they've got client collaboration so you can manage your billing and track which projects are actually profitable for you. If you're using another platform, you should know that switching is painless. FreshBooks makes migrating your data dead simple. Their support team is there to help if you need it as well. If you're ready to stop wrestling with your books, head over to FreshBooks with my link in the description. Right now, you can save 60% off of your first 3 months. There's no credit card required to start. Let FreshBooks handle the accounting headaches so you can focus on what you actually do best. My thanks to FreshBooks for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get started. Okay, so I am in the terminal here. I know that is scary to a lot of you, but it shouldn't be. The terminal is included on Windows as well as Mac. If you're on Mac, you can use Spotlight to pull up the terminal. Now, if you've never used Claude Code before, what I recommend doing is pausing this video and going to watch my Claude Code for Beginners video. It will walk you through the entire process of getting that installed and teach you the basics, fundamentals, really just make this interface not as scary as it might seem at first glance. So, assuming you've done all of that, let's go ahead and proceed to learn how to fill out PDFs with AI. So here I am inside of my terminal. What I'm going to do is create a new folder for this project. I highly recommend doing that every time you start something new inside of Claude Code. You give things folders. It's basically a little contained workspace for Claude. So in the terminal here, I can do that by going CD projects. I already have a projects folder, but you could easily create one. It doesn't have to be in the terminal, by the way. You can do this with your normal Finder or Windows Explorer, however you normally make folders. It's not too hard though. We can just do mkdir, and then I'm going to type in PDF filler. That's going to be the name of my new project. So it's nested inside of my main projects folder. You can see I've got a bunch of projects here, not that many actually on this computer, but I've got a few of them working. So I'm going to go into this PDF filler folder now by typing CD, change directory into the PDF filler. Okay, now I'm in a completely blank folder. There is nothing here at all. I am going to invoke Claude. You can invoke Claude by typing Claude. I'm actually going to just press C and then enter. I showed my premium members exactly how to do this. I've entered in with the dangerously skip permissions mode on, so Claude will not be nagging me for confirmations. If you don't do that, that's fine. It's probably the safe way to begin, but know that you'll have to hit enter a bunch more times in order to get things to happen compared to what I'm doing. And if you want more on that, I'll put the link down below so you can figure out how to have your shortcut set up with the letter C as well. Okay, next up, we're gonna need a PDF form to get filled out. I'm just gonna use a regular old W9 here. So I've got the W9. If I'm working locally on my own computer, I can just drag and drop it into the window here, and it's going to know exactly the path for that. Often I am working on a remote machine, so I'm using another application to sync files up. I can make a video on that. If you work on like a Mac Mini from your laptop, or you've got another PC that's running Claude Code and you want to know how to share files, drop me a link down below. I'd like to know if there's interest in me making a tutorial on how to do that. But for now, it's fine. I've got it in my downloads folder here. This is just a regular W9, and now I've got the path. That's the important thing, is that Claude needs to know exactly on your computer where the PDF is located. So what I'm going to do is just ask Claude to read this. By the way, we're going to build this out in steps. So we're going to kind of make it more and more advanced as we go, which is what I recommend you do every time you start automating something. Go slowly, see what the AI can do, and it might change its approach. If something fails, it's going to try another way to get something done, and that's okay. We're figuring this out, and then once we get it so it's just right, then we can turn it into what's called a skill, and it's going to give you the same results every single time. But as we get started, it's kind of a trial and error process. Okay, so I just pressed the arrow key up to move my cursor to the beginning of the text here. And I'm just gonna say, please read this PDF and list all the form fields. Now, like I said a moment ago, I fully acknowledge that this might seem slower than just filling out the form at first. But once we get it done, we'll be able to batch these and have dozens of them done in almost no time at all. All right, so now Claude is going to go ahead and look at the actual PDF, examine it, find all of the fields inside of the form. Now, this method is going to work on almost every PDF that you find in modern day. There are flat PDFs which don't have any form fields. It's just basically like a scanned image. Those will not work for this process. It's just going to be kind of a drawback to it. But almost everything you find is going to have form fields baked in where you can, open up the PDF and click on it and start typing. That is the type of PDF we need. Okay, so Claude came back here and it found a ton of form fields. All right, great. First step accomplished. We just know that Claude can look at this, it can understand what's on the screen. Now, at this point in the video, I'm going to point out that I've got a full blog post walking through this entire process. It's freely available up until the part where we actually build out the skill. So everything you're seeing right now, you can access for free. You'll get all of the information. You can even find a link to get the W9 if you don't know where that is and you want to kind of follow along. Here's the prompt I just used. Read the W9 and list all the form fields. Now, the next step, I'm just going to grab this. This is an example of what you might want to use. Fill out the form and then you just list all of your business information. And this is not actually my information. Don't try to steal our business identity with that EIN because clearly it's fake. Okay, I'm going to submit this, and this is kind of where the magic starts to happen because Claude on its own does not have the ability to fill out this form. Instead, it's got to go and write some code. It's got to write some scripts to fill out PDFs. So it's going to do that. It's going to figure out on its own exactly what it needs in order to be able to fill out a PDF. Now, while Claude is working, I have opened up my Finder and gone into the projects folder and then into the PDF filler folder. So I'll be able to see when it completes it. And there it was. It just showed up on screen. Let's open this up and see what it looks like. Okay, so just for comparison, this was the prompt that I gave it. I said, my name is Dave Swift, Swift Media LLC, tax classification LLC, as well as our address, city, state, zip code, and EIN. Told it to save it as W9-completed. All right, looking through this, it looks like it nailed everything. We've got name, business name, LLC is checked, address is checked, city and state is checked. We've got our EIN down here. All I need to do is go ahead and sign this and it would be ready to go. By the way, one thing I would recommend checking when you have Claude do this for you is, can you click on the fields and then edit things so you can make adjustments if need be. I have had Claude actually just write destructively right on the top of the PDF, and it's saving a copy, so it's not that destructive, but it's not something that you can edit, and that can be more problematic. So if you run into that trouble, just go back and say, hey, can you make sure you're just filling in the form field and not writing destructively over the actual PDF? I mean, actually, Claude's even smarter than I am because it noticed that I screwed something up. I left a subfield blank. I didn't indicate how the LLC is taxed, whether it's a corporation or S corp or a partnership. So it's going to catch mistakes that you might normally make anyway. So now that I know that the results are good, what I'm going to ask Claude to do is to create a repeatable script so that every time it creates a PDF, it does it in the same way. The results turned out excellent. Please create a script so that you can fill out PDFs just like this every time I ask. And if you're wondering, I am using Mac Whisper for dictation. I've got a full video on how to set up dictation with Mac Whisper. I'll link to that somewhere around here, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna submit this, but before I do, I have switched over to plan mode by pressing Shift Tab until it says plan mode. That's gonna make Claude think about it for a moment and then actually proceed with the action. Just make sure that the scripts are written to the highest quality. Now back over in my Finder window, I'm gonna be able to see the scripts show up right here in a moment. What's really cool is that people used to have to do this themselves, right? You could write a script to fill things out, take a source and then fill it out. It'd be very tedious and take a long time. The things that LLMs are really good at is writing software like this that they can run on their own. All right, Claude just got done thinking. It took about 5-6 minutes for it to think through the process, and now it is ready to actually create the script. So I'm gonna let it churn away. It'll probably take a few more minutes. Sometimes creating the plan is the longest part, and then once it's got the plan, it's able to blast through that. But doing the plan is really important because you can see everything it thought through here. It knows all of the implementation steps, and it's gonna be really accurate and has a much better chance of working first time through. Okay, now heading back into the PDF filler folder, it's actually starting to write some Python here. We've got a Python script. You can see these are hidden folders. I can make them go away by pressing Command-Shift-period on my computer, but those are for Git. So it's doing versioning. If it needs to go back, it can do that. It's basically like automatic backups. They're local, it's not remote, but it's got a way for it to think through things and see the steps that it took. And yeah, it looks like the script is all done here. It took 1 minute and 20 seconds, so much shorter to actually create the script than it took to plan out what the script was going to do. But now we'll be able to use that script over and over again. Now, this is not where the video ends. We're going to test it out further, and then eventually we will turn it into a Claude skill that you'll be able to fire off without having to think through your prompt. Before we do that, I want to test this out in a little bit larger quantity. Rather than just doing one PDF, let's take one PDF and have it fill it out with 3 different sets of data, see how it handles it. So batch filling, I've got this example here on my blog post, and basically it says, here I've got 3 people, here's all of their info. I want you to fill out the form 3 times and then save it in a completed folder. If you want a closer look at exactly what prompt I'm using, you can pause the screen here as well. But it's pretty cut and dry, just like I described. It's gonna go ahead and fill out that form and then add them into a completed folder. We should see that this is done pretty reliably and pretty quickly as well. Okay, so it's been working for just over a minute at this point, and it just created the completed folder here. It's done with 1, it's done with 2, and now it's done with 3. 3 PDFs filled out that quickly. Let's examine them. They look right to me. Here's Bob. You can see the EINs are 2 for Bob. It was 1 for Alice and 3 for Carol. Does that match our prompt? It sure does here. So excellent, filled out the form perfectly. Okay, so this is working great. You could certainly leave it here and it would be a very useful tool. But I want to go a step further. I want it to know who I am, and I don't want to have to feed it my name and address and other normal information that's on a form all the time. So what I'm going to do is create a skill that actually has memory, and when it looks at a PDF, it's going to fill it out to the best of its knowledge, and when it hits something that it doesn't know the answer to, it's going to ask me, and then it's going to remember it. This is going to be a Claude skill that I'll be able to invoke with a slash command. So inside of Claude Code, if I press slash, I've got all of these commands that I can pull up. So one of them here that I've got is the YT workflow. It's my publishing workflow that it does a bunch of stuff automated for me. So really anything that you do in a repetitive fashion over and over again, even if there's some variance to it, but it's fairly similar, you can probably automate or create a workflow with a Claude skill. Now at this point, I think it gets a little bit confusing. Is the script we created, the PDF_filler.py file, is that a skill? Or is the folder itself the skill? What exactly is going on? Well, back in the old days, people would write scripts and you could just run them on your own without any AI involved at all. I know, mind blowing. Then we took the next step. We had the script inside of our folder and we opened up Claude Code and said, hey, run this script for us. It lets us talk to scripts in plain English, and then Claude can run it or even modify it if it's not set up to do what we want. The problem with that sort of ad hoc prompting is that we might say things a little bit differently one time than we do the next, and then Claude gives us a different result, and we think AI is not very good. It's so inconsistent, it doesn't do what we want. Turns out we asked maybe a little bit differently, or it just interpreted it differently that time because the verbiage was off. So what we can do is create a skill. It's going to be in plain English still. You don't need to learn how to program anything, but it's going to run the same way every single time. So we're going to go ahead and make a text file. That's all this really is. Now, if you want your skills to run everywhere in every project or folder that you're in, you can put it in the user's Claude folder. So for me, the user account on this computer is Dave Swift. I've got a little shortcut here on the left-hand sidebar. And then I'm going to look for the hidden folder named Claude, which is right here. If you don't see your hidden folders, you'll press Shift Command period to hide or display them. Okay, I'm going to open this up. And I should see a skills folder down here. If you don't, no problem. I'm going to delete mine right now. You can create a new folder. That's Shift Command N to create a new folder, or just go Finder, File, New Folder, and call it Skills, just like that. It's very important that it's called Skills, all lowercase. Now, any skills I put inside of this folder will be available to Claude throughout my entire computer. So where's the skill? Where do I put it? Well, the good news is I've created it for you and it's available for download on my website for premium members. So if you want to support my content and also get a little bit extra, you can have this completely done for you. But otherwise, we can build it together. Let's go. So I've got the exact steps right here. What we're going to do is create a folder for our skill. We're going to call it the PDF filler. And then we're going to make a file that's going to be called skill.md. And it's basically a description of everything that we are doing. So step 1 is to discover the form fields. Step 2 is to interview for the fields, meaning it's going to ask you what you want to fill the form out with. Step 3, it's going to complete the field map. And then step 4, it will fill out the PDF. And of course, it's going to tell you where the PDF is located. So let's go ahead and build this. I'm going to copy the command here to create the folder. And then I'm going to need to open this up in the editor here. So I'll select that and add it to my paste stack as well. And once I've got that document opened, I'm going to just paste in this here. We could write it in real time, but that would be like watching paint dry. Okay, I just reorganized my screen so you can see everything at once. I've got a fresh terminal window right here. I've got my paste stack over here. This is the Paste app on the Mac. Great tool. And then down below here is just the skills folder. So you can actually see stuff being built in real time in a screen that's probably a little more familiar to you. So first thing we're gonna do is paste in this command here, just make the directory, and it's gonna be called the PDF filler. And that should show up in a second here. There it is. All right, great. Next, we are going to edit a file that hasn't been created yet called the skill.md, and that's located inside of this folder here. So we'll open that up. We can see it be created. I'll do nano. That's the name of the editor that I'm going to use. Nano, and then just paste in the rest of the command here. And it's going to, nothing's here yet because I haven't saved it, but all I need to do is paste again because I've got the full skill contents here, and I can just paste it in. And to save it here, I'm going to press Control X to exit, and then Y to save, and then return. And here it is. I've got my skill created. If I open this up, I can open it up in a text editor. I can open it up in whatever application you like to read Markdown in. It's just going to look exactly like it did before. Nothing too fancy here, right? It's just plain text. So you can literally write your own plain text standard operating procedures. And if you run it through Claude, it will understand it and be able to execute them. That's all a skill is, folks. Now we're going to refine that and add in the profile feature I mentioned before, but first let's try this thing out and see if it works. So I'm going to get into my PDF filler project here. Now I don't have to do it in this project. I just want to. I'm going to open up Claude, and now if I press /PDF, I can go ahead and run it this way. I could do /PDF filler, and then all I need to do is indicate which PDF I want to have filled, which I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop my PDF in here again. and it's going to go ahead and take care of that for me. Remember, it's a 5-step process. The first one is to read the form fields. Step number 2 is going to go ahead and ask me. It's going to interview me what I want to fill out the form with, and then it'll do all the other stuff, completing it and making and outputting it into a completed folder. Is the result going to be exactly the same as when we just said, hey, fill this thing out? You betcha it is. But the point is, now it's repeatable and we know it's going to work every single time. Okay, so it found the fields here and it says, let's fill this out. I'll ask in groups. And here we are, we're in an interview. That's what this is called when you see Claude do this. It's gonna ask information about what I want to fill out the form with. So I'll just fill it out here with my name and business name. Choose my tax class. We'll be, let's do an S Corp this time, and we'll hit submit. And now it's going to do all the dirty work of actually creating the output. Oh, I forgot. It needs to ask for a little bit more info, like the address. Let's fill that in. City and zip, and then hit submit. Now it wants to know my tax information, and now it's thinking. Notice that it's smart enough to say it's going to redact all of the private information in any summaries. So it's going to be in the context window if you give it your social. I don't necessarily recommend doing that. An EIN, a little less risky, but you just want to keep that in mind that it's going to go through and will be in the context window. It could potentially be shared, up to the LLM gods or wherever that info goes. I mean, this is being even more detailed than the first time I filled it out. It's got all of the exempt codes, the FATCA, I don't know if that's pronounced, the FATCA. I'll skip that, the requester, and finally submit. And we should have, at this point, an actual completed form. And now we're on to the review step where it's going through the actual form and telling me what it's going to fill out. If I agree, it will go ahead and proceed. So this feels a lot more like I'm running an actual application here, right? Because it's asking me questions, I'm answering them, and then it's completing the form. This does save you from making mistakes of looking through the form and maybe missing something. Or if you were confused, you could ask it, hey, what does this mean? But it's not saving us that much time. We really want to save this in a profile so that it can complete a lot of this stuff without checking with you over and over again. So that will be the next version of the skill that we'll build here in a moment, assuming this goes well and we get our completed PDF here. So it looks like we are all done. I jumped over into the completed folder inside of my projects folder, right? So I'm back in the PDF filler project and I've got my completed folder here, and it did create the W9 completed PDF for me. I can open that up, and sure enough, we've got our 333 Swift Enterprises, 123 Main Street in Beverly Hills, 90210, which is great because that means we get to proceed to the next step, which is the last step, so that it remembers who we are and we can develop a bit of a profile so it fills out forms without asking us a bunch of questions. So this is back over on my website. It's got exactly the info that you need. Version 2 is to add memory and autofill. We're going to be replacing that first script, by the way. You could keep a version 1 and a version 2, but for me, I'm just going to replace it. You can see here, it's just updated the workflow. So step 1 is still going to look at the fields. Step 2 is going to load a profile if it exists. You don't need to create the profile. It's going to make it for you as it asks you questions. So it says smart match the profile to PDF details. And if no profiles match, then it's going to start to basically save that. So it's going to show an autofill summary and confirm and interview the remaining fields. In step 6, this is where it saves it for you. It offers to save the reusable info into a profile. You get to say, hey, do you want me to keep this for next time? If it's a one-off thing, you can skip that. But if it is something you want to reuse, it's going to save you some time. You can do that. And then finally, we'll review the mapping just like we did before, and it will fill out the PDF for us. All right, so I'm going to copy this. I'll pop open a new terminal tab here, make the text a little bit bigger. And once again, I'm going to open up the document in the Nano editor. And there we go. That's our skill. Now I don't need any of this, so I want to delete it all. Now there's a few different ways we could clear this out. I think the fastest way at this point is just to kill it line by line. This isn't that long of a script. So what I'm doing is holding down Control and K, and now everything is gone. Now I can paste in my new skill that I copied off my website, but you could write on your own, or you could have an LLM work with you to write it. That's how I wrote mine. All right, we'll paste this in. It's the full 8-step process, and I will exit again. Control X to exit, Y to save, and then enter. We're back out into the terminal, and we can jump back over into Claude. Now, at this point, I do recommend exiting and then entering Claude again, just to make sure it has the latest version of the skill. So I'll do Command Exit to get out of Claude Code, and we'll press C again to launch it. And one more time, we'll do /PDF-filler and drop the trusty W9 in here and then press return. This time we should get a very similar process, but it's going to ask us if it wants to remember some info about us for future autofills. You can notice up here at the top, it says it's going to load my profile. Now I don't have one yet. It's going to create that for me as it interviews me. Okay, so it identified all of the fields on the form. And now we're in the interview portion of the skill. It did remember my name, so that's pretty cool. We'll go with that. We'll go through the whole rigmarole with the business name, the address, and finally submit the answers here. We do have a few more questions to answer. We'll do our city and state, any exemptions, and submit. All right, it asked a couple more questions here and we should be good to go. Wants the EIN. Now I did screw up because I only entered 8 digits for the EIN and it expects 9. So it's cool, it pointed that out and it's gonna allow me to make changes. All right, I have submitted my change and hopefully we are good to go here. It says ready to fill the PDF now. Lets me review the fields. Looks good. Now the ultimate test is it going to ask me if it can save my profile? All right, we hit the sweet spot here. Save your profile. You want to save all of your information for future autofills. I could say yes. In fact, I'll just do it here and then I'm going to run it real quick. I won't make you watch me answer the questions and we'll just see how it does at filling out the profile. To make sure that everything is cleared out here, I'm just going to start a brand new context window so it doesn't remember everything that it just did. And we'll run it one more time. I know I said last time was the last time, but this is really the last time. Drop it in the PDF here. All right, so Claude's thinking now, and this time it should study the fields and then check it against my profile and then ask me if it can just fill those out. And because it's the same form, it should know how to do this perfectly. And here we go. It worked, at least mostly. And by design here, you can see the autofill from profile. It matched my name, my business name, my address, and my city, state, and zip. The things it didn't remember was the things that were maybe a little bit more specific, like the tax stuff that I didn't want it to remember. So it just left that out, but it's going to ask me down here again so I can enter that more private information in, like your social security number, that nonsense. So there it is. We have accomplished something. We now have an AI tool that can fill out PDFs on our behalf. And better yet, in my opinion, we understand a little bit more about how Claude skills truly work. So you can build your own to automate the most frustrating parts of your workflow. You're just one step closer to being prepared for the coming AI takeover. Well, hopefully you can escape the permanent underclass. My name is Dave. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, get subscribed if you want more videos like this one. Leave me a comment. I try to respond to everybody. Check out my free email newsletter over at daveswift.com. My thanks to FreshBook for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.